Hi there, greetings, salutations. I should put the microphone closer to Derek.
Yeah, that would help.
Happy Sweet 16 week. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. And Derek, of course, now also working along with Query and Schultz here for the ISC Sports Network, does some time with Purdue marketing and wants to be objective and not appear biased. So he's insistent that we talk about the NFL because we don't talk enough about that to start the show, as opposed to the Purdue Boilermakers being in the Sweet 16 for the fifth time in 7 years as a number one overall seed in dominating fashion, beating Utah State in historic fashion from Zach Edey against Grambling. But we'll table all that, and we'll talk about the owners' meetings, which everyone wants to hear about.
Look, that's not why. I was going through, if you guys are watching on YouTube, our Corey and Schultz YouTube channel, I was going through, and a lot of our thumbnails lately have been Purdue people, and I'm kind of like, in the effort of, I don't know if diversity is the right word, but
not catering to the people of our thumbnails?
Well, I just think we've led Purdue a lot. I think we talk a lot of Purdue, don't you?
We do, but
and we don't do that because of my professional ties there or anything. We do that because Purdue's really freaking good.
Right.
But I just thought maybe today we would start with some of the Colts stuff because it's on the top of my mind. Your buddy and I guess a mutual friend of ours, Stephen Holder, had a tweet on Monday that I thought was an interesting talking point as we continue the owners' meetings down in Orlando.
And that tweet was?
The tweet was that he believes, and this is the problem with I feel for Steven and the reporter. Sometimes they say stuff, and everyone's like, what are you talking about, dude? Shut up. You're an idiot. And they're like, no, I'm telling you what the team is telling me. It's not what I'm saying. And I think Steven was saying the team feels like Richardson's going to make a leap next year. So running it back with this same roster and not making seismic changes.
The 15% improvement you're looking for from the roster is going to happen organically with Anthony Richardson elevating 15%.
Yes. The problem that I have with that, and look, we're going to sound like a broken clock here. We're beating the drum, but this keeps happening, Jake. And I know you've mentioned it on your radio show too. The Colts have gone into the last couple of seasons with at least one, but certainly one glaring position of need. And they've been like, nah, we're good. Okay, we're fine. Young guys going to develop. We like the guys that we have. We're good. Even when it's been clear to everyone, media, fans, everybody like that you are decidedly not good at that position. You need to address that position. And look, they've still got an NFL draft class to come in. I get it. They're not close to good enough in that defensive secondary, and that needs to be addressed. Doesn't have to be addressed by giving $55 million to L'Jarius Sneed, but it has to be addressed.
Right. Well, Derek, there are two things. You're right in two ways. I mean, there are two rights here. That is correct in the fact that it is an area that seemingly needs to be addressed, and at times, I'm not saying this is accurate, but at times it feels like Chris Ballard decides not to make moves in certain areas just because he's going to show that he's smarter than everyone else. I know that's not really what's happening, but it feels that way. Partially because of the arrogance with which he speaks at times. You know, the wide receivers, when he talks about, he kind of mocked Kevin Miller for a long time.
Famously scoffed at that. Yeah, the wide receiver.
And then guess what? I mean, turns out everyone else was right.
Yeah.
The same could be held true. We're not all the way through the offseason yet, so we can't say definitively. But it appears as though the same may be true with the defensive backfield. But there's also this, which would be, in Chris Ballard's defense, very exhausting. And that is, and social media has a lot to do with this. Mm-hmm. We as fans or as a culture hone in or zero in on a player. That's the missing ingredient. That's the piece that has to be had. That is the most important thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have it. Oh, my gosh, you got to have it. Well, what's the latest? This year's version was L'Jarius Sneed. In the past, it's been like in baseball one year, it was Mark Teixeira. Everybody's like, where's Teixeira? I mean, they got to get Teixeira. What are they going to do to get Teixeira? I remember with the New York Knicks and Carmelo Anthony, it was like, they got to get Melo. Yeah. They got to get him. They got to get him. Why? They just have to. Okay? Everybody was convinced that they had to get L'Jarius Sneed. Why? There's a reason Kansas City let him walk, right? And Tennessee signs him for $55 million. Okay, that's great. But then in 2 years, when Tennessee starts shedding salary and cutting really good players, and you mark my words, it's going to happen. And you go, why? And they go, well, because they got this corner, the one that missed 4 games last year because he's getting older and he's hurt. Yeah, well, they're paying him. They're on the hook for this for him. the price was such that the Colts didn't want to pay it.
Yeah.
They were willing to give up what you had to give up to get him. They weren't willing to give up what you had to retain him.
I think it's fine to pass on that deal, to pass on giving 75, 76 million and 55 the guaranteed to a 27-year-old that's never been an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. I think that's fine to pass on that deal. But what's not fine is relying on Jalen Jones and kick returner guy, Dallas Flowers, and people like that. I mean, these are, Jake, what they've got in that defensive secondary outside of Juju Brents, they're like fringe draft picks.
Right.
Jalen Jones barely was drafted. Dallas Flowers wasn't even drafted.
I do think Juju Brent's going to be a player, though.
And I just think that, banking on those guys, even making moderate improvements, the defensive secondary is still not good enough. Even with those guys making moderate improvements, like what you would expect year to year for those guys to make. And I just think Chris Ballard, and we've defended, we've criticized him too. We've defended Chris Ballard on the show, but I feel like Ballard tries to skate by at spots with the guys that they have. And I think they did it last year at corner, and it was more defensible because people were expecting the Colts to have a rough season. But they needed that position. They needed Stephon Gilmore last year, right?
Yeah,
they needed that position to be solidified. I mean, if they have Gilmore last year, they're probably a playoff team. And they didn't solidify it, and here we are, and they're still not solidifying it.
Now, by the way, Query and Schultz, we'd like to thank our presenting sponsors. Bailey and Wood, one of them. They brought in sunglasses. I prefer
Cool.
Can I have the orange ones?
No, orange is my favorite color.
Huh?
Orange is my favorite color.
No, those are actually cool. Like,
Hi.
what was that? Why did you bite your lip when you do that?
I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You went like this. You went like this.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I'm just pointing at the camera.
Do it again. Yeah, see, you did it again right there. Yep.
Pointed?
You bite your lip.
No, I don't. You don't.
Which
know
are
what you're
cooler,
talking
the blue or the orange?
Definitely the orange.
The orange those are cool. My face is getting fat. Doesn't my face look fat there?
No, your face looks fine. Your face looks like your face.
Huh? Yeah, no, Derek.
Just do this a little bit, just to give off the coolness. Just let it breathe a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. 855-350-HOME. BAWFG.com.
That's for Bailey Wood, the presenting sponsor. Also, Hoagie and Hops. We'll get to that in just a minute because that's one of our favorite segments of the show. Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Of course, always on board Chateau Kitchens. And Derek, we cannot forget, amongst all of the sponsors that we just mentioned, Hoagies and Hops, right?
Yep.
Chateau Kitchen.
Yep. Chili Water Brewing.
Love Heating and Air.
Yep.
Chili Water Brewing.
Bailey and Wood.
Bailey and Wood, right?
Yep.
And, of course, our newest, Nice Bison.
Yeah,
right?
Nice Bison. Here, let me grab a Nice Bison. Hang on. We don't have a Nice Bison shirt up here, I don't think. Where are our Nice Bison shirts?
See, we usually have a meeting before the show
Yeah,
to plan these things and make sure that we're good to go.
Have a Nice Bison shirt in here.
Look down on the below you there.
Well,
See, these orange are nice.
I think what happens is Rake usually brings them in, and Rake's not here.
Well, this worked out well, didn't
the
it?
mics pick me up.
Yeah.
You hear that part where I
yeah.
said Rake's not here? So I think he has them. Well, now I'm bummed. Because Nice Bison, we have the Nice Bison stickers. So we've got those.
Well, would you like to tell people about Nice Bison?
Stickers. Yeah, sure. It's a site that sells awesome gear. So joggers, shirts, stuff like that, of course. Stickers. They have accessories. NiceBison.com.
They have beautiful retro T-shirts, for example.
It's Indiana-themed.
The Bloomington, Welcome to Bloomington sign, made famous by the John Cougar Mellencamp video. That's one of the T-shirts that you can get at Nice Bison. If you want to show your Hoosier pride, then the way to do it is through Nice Bison, whether it be stickers for your laptop, stickers for your phone, stickers for your car, T-shirts, etc. The Hoosier pride, the way to show it, the way to be true to your roots is through Nice Bison.
Purdue stuff, Pacer stuff.
How's that, Derek?
Colts stuff, IU stuff. They're definitely IU-centric. The Bison, I believe, is a take on the unofficial Indiana University mascot from all those years ago. But here are some of the stickers. This is a – can we get the center shot here? Can you get me on 2 here, Vince? There we go. This is the Circle City sticker. That's a Nice Bison sticker. State of basketball with the state of flag, and it's basketballs around the state flag in Indiana. Cream and Crimson. Kirkwood Avenue. The Nintendo controller, those are all nice. So I have 25% of the stickers on my laptop.
I think it's just called the controller.
Stickers. The controller, yeah. They can't say Nintendo, I guess, because they don't have the licensing for that.
I ended up with your
Bison15 to save 15% on your order at nicebison.com.
Can we get into the college basketball tournament, by the way?
We can do that next.
March Madness is
when we
its own, the
return.
NCAA tournament.
We'll talk Purdue, impressive March, but they've got a lot of work in front of them coming up in Detroit, and a tournament where pretty much all the good teams, all the contenders advanced. All the real true contenders are still alive with where we sit right now. So we'll talk all about it as we continue here. Episode 179, Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Derek Query. I'm Derek Schultz. We have our nice Bison shirts?
Yeah, it just is a matter of people coming in and actually looking as opposed to you.
Well, Vince sped us up last week, and then this week he reorganized the
what happened was
swag shelf.
As is obviously fitting, this was not on the bottom shelf. It was more on the top shelf.
It's pretty cool.
Top shelf shirt.
Yeah.
Derek couldn't find it, so there you go.
And we're not about pointing fingers. Vince is a great kid. He's got a bright future, but just lately he's been a little all over the place, speeding us up last week and then messing with the gear shelf. But it's fine. We love Vince on the show, and he does a great job bringing us in and out of breaks when he's not like 15, 10 and speeding us up constantly. But yeah, that's the nice Bison shirt that Vince buried back there. Bloomington.
Is everything going okay at home? You seem
everything is.
You were late.
Fine. Yeah,
we were all sitting here waiting. You were late. Then you came in and you kind of had a disregard for what's going on, and now you seem disheveled.
You are never allowed to ever point out my tardiness ever.
Why?
In the 10 years that we've known each other, with what I've built up compared to what you've built up as far as the track record is concerned, I'm being late. You know how many radio shows? You know how many remotes I started late? Because you were in traffic or whatever else? Yeah. I started a Reggie Wayne show late.
No, that's not true.
It was just me and Reggie Wayne. It was like one of the first shows. It was like Chris Farley's show, the skit on SNL.
How do you think Reggie Wayne felt?
Yeah, it was rough to not have you there for that. But then I obviously grew into myself and all of that.
I remember Reggie Wayne texting me like 3 times. He's like, dude, seriously.
Okay.
Help a brother out.
Purdue has grown into itself.
Me and the little fella. Come here.
Sweet 16 bound for the 5th time in 7 years. And I thought it was funny, Andy Katz, who, look, I'm always kind of hesitant to criticize other media, right? Some of it is just like a subjective thing, like we have our own kind of biases when it comes to that. Andy Katz was a great writer, a great everything. Andy Katz is not a great sideline guy. I always felt like he's kind of awkward on camera.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he asked Matt Painter, he's like, guys, finally back to the Sweet 16, and they show a graphic. 5th time in 7 years back in the Sweet 16. I think a lot of people assume the St. Peter's loss was a first-round loss. How happy is Kentucky that Purdue also lost to St. Peter's? Because no one remembers that Kentucky lost to St. Peter's, except for Kentucky fans.
You're right.
No one remembers that.
Who did St. Peter's beat in the second round?
Murray State.
Okay. If
Purdue would have lost to Texas in the second round that year, they were the 3 seed. If Purdue would have lost to Texas, who was the 6 seed, nobody would care. It's funny how, because that was the opponent, that is like the scarlet letter for Purdue. But for really, if you go before the North Texas loss, the problem for Painter is that he's clustered them all together. But if you go before the North Texas loss, outside of Arkansas, Little Rock, Purdue didn't really have, I guess you could say VCU, the E'Twaun Moore, Juwan Johnson senior year, because they got run off the floor by VCU, but VCU went to the Final Four.
Right.
All the other years, pretty much, that Purdue lost, they lost to the Hashim Thabit UConn team. They lost to the Shire Duke team that beat Butler in the final. They lost to Joakim Noah, remember?
Yeah.
And Florida.
And they gave him a good game.
And they gave him that was like the Carl Landry, David Teague team, very early in Painter's era. They lost to Kansas one year in the Sweet 16. They lost to Texas Tech, who went to the Elite Eight that year. They lost to a lot of good teams along that stretch. So I'm not going to defend Fairleigh Dickinson and St. Peter's, and those were flops. Don't get me wrong; they had no business losing either of those games. But I think the track record overall is pretty good. Grambling State in the first half, I think it was about kind of getting the jitters out, wasn't it? Because they looked a little tight.
Yeah,
looked a little tight. First 10, 12, 15 minutes, but then they kind of hit their groove and steamrolled them. And Utah State, I mean, it was just an avalanche. Utah State was actually the team that looked tight to me. Once things started going south for them,
Derek,
they panicked.
I thought for Purdue, and I've said for a long time, I think I said it to you, I thought that second round game was going to be their biggest hurdle. Now, I don't mean to get to the Final Four. I mean, the games are going to get tougher now.
Yeah.
I think Gonzaga is markedly better than they were, 3 months ago. And, Tennessee is right there. Tennessee looms.
Creighton. Creighton's a good team.
Creighton can score in bunches. So there are tough games left for sure. But the Utah State game, I thought they got a break in the matchups because they weren't going against Texas worried me, like a team like that, a big, strong, athletic, fast team. And Utah State wasn't necessarily that. But what I thought was the key against Utah State, Zach Edey was obviously Zach Edey, right? And people talk about foul disparity. Well, it's just ridiculous play Purdue. Zach Edey gets fouled every single time he touches the ball, okay? But Purdue put Utah State in foul trouble by getting Trey Kaufman-Wren really active on the opposite side of Zach Edey. And so defenses all of a sudden are getting out of position with Kaufman-Wren getting the basketball, and they're reaching in and they're accumulating their fouls by trying to stop Trey Kaufman-Wren.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, wait a minute, but we have this immovable force on the other side of the block who's the two-time college player of the year, so we got to slide over and get him. Well, all of that opened up the most critical element for Purdue, and that is that defenses were sagging back, which was allowing Fletcher Lawyer to get good looks and take his time to square up, which is so important because for Purdue to win it all, Fletcher Lawyer's got to be hitting shots in the mid-range and in the outside. And to do that, he's got to be fairly, I'm not going to say uncontested, but allowing him to get in rhythm, which is exactly what Utah State allowed Fletcher Lawyer to do. And that was facilitated by the action of Trey Kaufman-Wren and then the counteraction of Zach Edey and having that 1-2 combo on the block that was impossible to stop. That opens things up for Purdue, and that changes everything in trying to guard them because they're unguardable at that point.
It's funny because we have long talked, and even the commentators are bringing this up about Lawyer being the X factor, but maybe TKR. I mean, if Trey Kaufman-Wren's going to play anything close to the way that he played the first two games, they're going to Phoenix. Period.
Correct.
They might not beat UConn, but they're going to Phoenix.
If they go?
No, I had a flight and I canceled it. We have we being Purdue University has a really big solar eclipse event with NASA at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that Monday, and I'm a panelist with Angela Buckman. So me and her we're running the panel sessions on that Monday. So even if I went to Phoenix, I wouldn't be able to get there for the national championship game. I would only be able to go to the semifinal.
The eclipse is the day of, right?
Yeah, it's the Monday of. So I had a flight. I have an uncle, my Uncle Steve, that lives in Scottsdale, who has a guest house and a vehicle and all of that. Everybody has like a wealthy uncle, and he's mine.
You know what I'm about to tweet? I just thought of this. So Purdue University could win their first national championship on the day of the eclipse, meaning the two biggest events in school history both involve the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But I think if Kaufman-Wren, I think we're starting to see him come into his own. I'll be honest with you. I watched him play high school ball, right? He was a great player. He and Caleb First were the two best players in that class, and they both ended up going to Purdue, and we saw that First kind of fell out of the rotation, and TKR is coming on here. I was a TKR skeptic. I thought he was
Trey Kaufman-Wren.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Nobody calls him TKR.
I thought he was kind of soft, but it takes time, and he's obviously a very skilled player.
Derek, the guy that to me is the guy to me that most represents Purdue. If someone were to say 20 years from now, if Purdue is to win it all, 20 years from now, somebody says, Jake, tell me about the 24 Purdue basketball team. I'd say, there's a guy on that roster that I think most embodied what made them unique.
Gillis?
Caleb First. Here's a guy that was Mr. Basketball, that got significant minutes as a freshman. It was a starter, right?
At times, I think, yeah.
And a sixth man at the very least. And now his minutes are fairly relegated to spot minutes or rotate. He's in the rotation, but he's not a mainline player.
Yeah.
But he is an integral part of who they are, and seemingly has never skulked. Did he transfer? Did he throw his name in the portal to get NIL money elsewhere? I mean, this is a guy that was a pretty big-time recruit and seemingly is perfectly happy and content doing what is asked of him when it's asked, not knowing when it's going to be asked, because he wants to win. That, to me, is exactly what makes Purdue different than other programs, notably, say, Indiana, right?
Yeah. Well, I think what Purdue has done, and look, they've had guys leave, right? Brandon Newman or people like that. They've had them leave. But what they've been able to do is get the guys that are in to buy in. So I'm not sitting here and saying that Caleb First is happy with his situation. I wouldn't be, right? None of us would be. He's a competitor. He wants to play. Of course he wants to play. That's why he went to Purdue. But he has bought into the fact that I'm here, I'm going to do what is told of me, and then whenever happens at the end of the season, maybe I'll explore my options or think about it.
If you were on the Purdue basketball team, do you know what your name would be?
What?
Caleb Second.
Is that really... Can we get that actually? Vince, I know I was kind of a jerk to you, but can we get that in post? He's shaking his head no. He's
Karma's a B.
Yeah, this is... It's because
Karma's more than a record store that just closed on 86th Street.
It's because I criticized them for speeding us up. One other thought about Purdue, if they're going to get these minutes from Camden Heide and I love the fact that Miles Colvin is playing and playing well, and he looks confident.
He does.
Those guys are big for the future, too. This is the other thing. I think we touched on this. I don't remember if it was last week's show or if it was 2 weeks ago. There's this prevailing thought, and a lot of it is from, I think, Indiana fans that, okay, well, once Edey goes, then that's it. This is their window. And you're looking and you're like, look, guys, like this,
we said that about
is,
Haas. We
you
said that about Hammonds.
Swanigan. You said that, this is a well-oiled machine here. You said that about Edwards when Edwards left. Remember they had the COVID year and they kind of went down a little bit and then they went right back up again. Kaufman-Wren's going to be one of their mainline guys next year, and if Colvin and Heide and look, it's the transfer portal, right? So you can't just assume that everybody's going to be back. Not even Purdue, who's built a nice culture. You can't assume that. But if you're looking on paper and you're thinking to yourself, okay, if you're putting them on next year's roster, this team probably isn't going to be a 1 seed, but they're going to be very good again.
When you did a bracket, tell me the team that has busted you so far, and tell me how your Final Four stands.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with the South region. I didn't want to pick Houston, and I ended up taking Kentucky, and that was obviously a mistake. Calipari had said that this was different for this team. I had talked to a couple of Kentucky fans that felt like this was not the same team of a couple of years ago, and then for them to just face plant again the way that they did. No offense to Oakland, because it was a great story, and we love our friends at the Horizon League, but for them to face plant again the way that they did, I think it's disappointing. I'm not disappointed because I couldn't possibly care less about it. Yeah. I don't hate Kentucky, but I couldn't possibly care less about Kentucky. And I wonder, too, if, not to bridge it into a new topic, if, sometimes you see these head coach marriages just kind of fizzle out. I think it happened with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. The marriage with Calipari was a really good one for the first 7 or 8 years, but I think it's time for both sides to move on.
Yeah, but Kentucky's given him everything on the registry, and some of that is non-returnable.
Yeah, I just think you can't
$34 million buyout.
They can pony that up.
But who are they going to get?
3 or 4 years with Derek, doing nothing at Kentucky.
Here's the thing, though. When Kentucky said enough to Billy Gillispie, right? Pitino was there, right? Mm-hmm. I can't remember. Did Calipari?
No, Calipari was after Gillespie.
Was it Calipari?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but my point being, that was obvious. Mm-hmm. I mean, who's the guy?
I don't know. But my feeling with coaches is always if you have a guy that...
But there is not, other than Danny Hurley, there's no coach right now in college basketball that is like, in Painter, I guess, but that is like a multinational championship winning, like, this is the long term. You put this guy there for 20 years, and you're going to be in the Final Four every other year. There is no guy that jumps out like that. You had that with Calipari. You had that with Pitino. You had that with, there have been different coaches you've looked at, and you've gone, Bill Self, that's the guy. I don't know who it is right now.
Yeah, I don't know either, but my philosophy on coaches has always been if your guy is not the guy, you got to move on.
Is Josh Schertz going to end up at Louisville?
Maybe. because I don't know what else they're going to do. I think the plan was Dusty May, and obviously Dusty May chose Michigan.
I think the plan was Bryce Drew.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they'd be very well off to actually. I think Josh Hurts is a winner, man. I know what his pedigree is. I know he's a D2 guy in Indiana State, and people might scoff at that. I think that guy wins.
I agree.
His offense is innovative and interesting and effective. Am I a homer for Josh Hurts because it's been a great story and because we wrote about him
and they should be in the tournament?
Yes. Yeah, of course I'm a homer for him, but I truly believe that winners win, and that's what he's done at every level that he's been.
By the way, in the tournament, and this doesn't make me unique or special in any way, my Final Four, not that anybody cares, but I'm going to tell you anyway, Houston, Purdue, Arizona, and
Arizona looked great.
Yeah. Who's the other one up top?
UConn.
Missing. UConn, yeah. Now, I think Connecticut's the best team in the country, but they could stub their toe. We'll see.
I had Arizona in my Final Four, too, just because from a ceiling standpoint, their ceiling is as high as anybody.
I had Oregon in the Sweet 16, and I was so happy that I was going to look like a genius, and they were up 4 with 17 seconds left.
The other team that I had going deep that got beat because they were a very high-variance team, and I think we talked about this last week, was Auburn. And the high variance, sometimes there's also low. And
here's the beauty of Auburn getting beat, Derek. We went to a popular restaurant that we go every Friday when the tournament starts to sit like at the bar area to watch games. And we walked in, and it was absolutely packed. And Shannon's like a hawk, right? She's looking at who's opened up during the bar. And I looked up, and there were 2 people in Auburn sweatshirts. And I glanced at the TV, and Auburn was like down 2 with 13 seconds left. And I go, ooh,
yeah.
So, guy, as soon as the game was over, the guy threw down his full beer, full plates of food, everything right in front, just got up and beelined out.
Left. Yeah.
It's great.
That's rough.
We got a table. By the way, it's time for Hoagies and Hops, is it not?
Well, hold on. I have another tournament thought. Can we stop doing like the league thing? I saw, the Big East is 6-0 in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, the best team that the Big East played so far is Northwestern, like an extremely banged up Northwestern team. They beat a 16, a 15, a 14, an 11. And they barely beat those teams.
But, Derek, you have to have had great seasons and really good teams.
Absolutely. But I don't need the tournament to tell me that.
Monobrow here, don't I?
Like, I think the Big East was a good league. I think it was the second best league. And I think they should have had more than 3 teams. I agree with all those points, but I'm not going to use them beating up on a bunch of double-digit seeds to prove that. Also, the ACC in basketball is like the SEC in football. When Duke and Carolina roll out of bed every year and make the Sweet 16, of course your league's going to look good in the tournament. Like, good for Clemson and good for there's a very mediocre NC State team that drew Oakland in the second round. Whatever. Good for them. That wasn't a good league this year, and a handful of good games doesn't change that. Like, you can pound your chest about it, great, but like the Big Ten wasn't a good league this year, Jake.
Right. So who was?
Purdue could win it all, and the Big Ten wasn't a good league.
So who was the? So who's
the Big 12 was a legitimately good league this year. I think the Big East was a good league. I think St. John's, Providence, Butler. I think the middle of the Big East was good. The bottom was terrible.
What about the Mountain West?
Yeah,
got like what? 6 in there.
The Mountain West is what it is. I think the Mountain West is a competitive league.
Okay, here's a good trivia question for you, Derek. And I don't know that I know the answer. I have a suspicion. Mountain West champion is?
The Mountain West champion was Utah State.
Was it?
Right? Yeah. They were the regular season champion.
Okay, who was the conference tournament?
I don't remember who.
San Diego State?
I don't remember who won the conference tournament. Maybe. I don't know.
Nevada?
You want me to look it up? Because I don't know. They have a lot of teams.
You had Nevada, Utah State, Boise State, right?
Did they have an upset in there? New Mexico.
Ooh, it might have been New Mexico. New Mexico might have gotten it.
Mountain West Conference champion. New Mexico was the Mountain West Conference champion.
That's a decent league, actually.
Yeah.
Mountain West and Atlantic 10, both decent leagues.
A-10 is usually a pretty good league. Yeah. Valley's a good league, usually.
It is.
And they've had some attrition that have come out from that, too. Let's get to our Hoagies and Hops Hoagie and Hero of the Week. We decided we had the slaw last week. We want some more slaw.
Did you drip slaw?
More slaw. Pit twist. Give me some more slaw. Give me some more. Mayo, ham, cheese, chip, slaw. Let's go South Jersey roll.
Duquesne pulled an upset in the tournament, didn't they?
Bueno.
Who did Duquesne beat?
Duquesne beat the crap out of somebody, and then they got the crap beaten out of them.
Illinois knocked them out, right?
Why can't I think of who Duquesne beat? BYU. Okay. Yeah.
They beat BYU, and Duquesne's from Pitt, so this is a fitting sandwich for them. Did you put the mayo on here?
I not put mayo on yours.
Derek. I see a touch of mayo.
Congrats to Hoagies and Hops. National Cheesesteak Day on Sunday. Went in there with the fam.
Can you finish what you're eating and then talk?
Yep. Went in there with the family. James, Ashley, and I went in there Sunday evening. Had cheesesteaks. Christina said they did like double what they usually do on a common Sunday. 15% of that went back to the MLK Center right there in Midtown at 40th and Illinois. So congrats to our friends at Hoagies and Hops for another great fundraiser. That's what's so great about Christina and her team. They always give back to the community. You know, you worked in a restaurant, right, at one point? The thing about restaurants is the margins are very thin.
Correct.
Food costs are up and labor costs are up and all of that. I mean, it's difficult to operate a restaurant. And the fact that she always gives back to, the Boulevard Place pantry that's right across the street, and to MLK Center, and she did stuff for St. Thomas Aquinas where my kid goes to school. Christina's very active, and she does not have to do that.
I would agree.
So we appreciate, especially being a Midtown resident, having Midtown businesses support Midtown.
We got a little, Mexican ale and lager here?
Mm-hmm. So we have here the Cerveza Especial de Santeria. I don't practice Santeria. From Chili Water Brewing. And the Chili Water Tap Room, of course, right next door to
really crisp, smooth.
42nd Boulevard. I just thought we're getting some... It, refuses to be fully warm because of the wind.
It feels like football season.
A little bit. But we're starting to get some summer vibes here coming up here, spring vibes at the very least. So sit outside on your porch and have a Cerveza, a Santeria. It's good. It's crisp. It's refreshing. And it pairs well there with the pit twist. Slaw, chips, ham, cheese, bread, mayo. Delicious. Catering. Hoagiesandhops.com.
You are the most disgusting consumer of food and beverage of anyone.
There's something wrong with your brain. We've talked about this. They've done studies on this, and if you think that somebody else's eating is gross, the sound of it is, then you have something mentally wrong with you, among other reasons. Jack Golke, our hero of the week. There's always one guy.
I've never heard that.
Who becomes a household name for a couple of days because of their Herculean efforts in the NCAA tournament, and this dude is 25, a former D2 player. And he only took threes. He checks all the boxes, right? Only took threes, 25, hit 10 of them. An incredible performance against Kentucky. And
best part about it, he slayed Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with Ryan Carr, actually, our friend that works for the Pacers, and Ryan's cable system was 15 seconds ahead of mine.
Oh, no.
So,
I guess he was ahead of you.
I'm talking to him, and he's going, oh my goodness, holy cow! You're gonna love this next play, and then
wow,
he'd hit a shot. It was great.
I think there's something, and look, no offense to Baylor. Baylor is a former national champion, but if let's say the 3 seed was Baylor and Oakland beats Baylor, it's kind of like cool. Oakland beat Baylor. 3 seed.
It's the biggest
because it's Kentucky. You're
it's the biggest program of all.
Yeah,
and
you beat
that
Kentucky.
The Kentucky nation just spirals out of control.
It's like when you go to the Oakland press room 50 years from now, there will be a framed photo of their win against Kentucky.
By the way, Derek.
And great for Greg Campy. He could have very easily been our hero of the week, too. He's been at Oakland forever. He's built that program from the ground up, and one of the big stars of the first weekend.
2 things. Number 1, Indiana in the last 5 years has double the NCAA tournament wins as Kentucky.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Okay.
And 2 more than Louisville.
Number 2, in talking about Oakland representing the Horizon League, we had a great time out at the Horizon League Championships, as we talked about. Also in the Horizon League, IUPUI, and they have a new head coach.
They do. And we're going to talk about that when we get to quick hits, so I'll save that for a little bit later. So Jake was a little bit ahead of,
Well, we could have discussed this in our pre-show meeting.
Jake was
except
a
for that
little
somebody was
bit
late.
ahead of it.
Somebody was
a little bit ahead of it.
20 minutes late.
2 other college basketball notes. Indiana State in Cincinnati play at Holman Center. The winner goes on to the semifinals, NIT at Hinkle.
At Hinkle, yep.
And that's tonight, isn't it?
Correct.
I think that game's tonight. We're taping this right now. So actually that game might be going on as we speak right now. I think that might be a later tip. That might be a 9 o'clock tip, so maybe it hasn't started yet. But congratulations to the Indiana women as well. Teri Moren's Hoosiers on to the Sweet 16 where they'll face South Carolina. Oh, boy. But they didn't get eliminated on their home court for the second straight year. Third Sweet 16 in 4 years, and the 9th NCAA tournament win since 2019, and the 10th overall for Teri Moren. So Teri Moren has won 10 times as many NCAA tournament games as any coach who preceded her in Bloomington.
Yeah, they've done a remarkable job.
Yeah.
And, look, that's become – Indiana baseball was a nice distraction from IU men's basketball for a while there. The Indiana women have become a big draw on campus, which is cool.
I think that's the problem right now. And Jeremy Gray's a mutual friend of ours, and he tweets a lot about the other – Indiana's athletics are cooking right now, like everywhere except – I mean, football feels better because people are behind Kurt Signetti, and that's brought some buzz to the program. But let's face it, football, has gone in the gutter a little bit, and the basketball program's just in shambles right now. It's in bad shape. Transfer portal and NIL war chest can help plug those wounds, but
really,
those two sports are in bad shape. But everything else, like tennis, softball's great, volleyball's gotten really good. It's disappointing that. Indiana's two most talked about sports, I'll say.
They never should have changed
are down.
The colors and the logo.
You like the old 90s trident thing?
No, like the 80s, like the kind of rounded U.
Yeah. Oh, you like on the shorts?
Yeah.
That's what you like? Yeah. That's like old school. The one change that they made that I will always disagree with and I've never liked, and I know that they put it up on display at the Assembly Hall, is I would have never changed the center court eye. Would have never changed that.
Totally agree.
Like, I'm cool with the scoreboard. I'm cool with all the Assembly Hall's a much different place than when you and I sat.
Elongated state with the point and then just the eye in the middle. Yeah.
I mean, it was. They didn't have a scoreboard in there until the year after I graduated. I was the last Indiana class that did not have a video board. We had the old red scoreboard in center, and that place has changed a lot in the last 20 years.
Right.
A lot.
I kind of like the old school of it. I liked the simplicity of Assembly Hall.
It's a neat atmosphere. It is if you don't have good seats, it's an absolutely miserable place to watch a basketball game. And this is coming from somebody that once lived and died IU basketball, and I felt that way at the time. I mean,
you're right.
Half of the seats in that stadium are awful.
Yeah, if you're in the last 4 rows of the lower deck, stay home.
Or in the corners. Anywhere in the corners. On the main or in the balcony. Anywhere in the corners. It's a disaster. Talking some Pacers when we get back. They survived the Western Road swing. Vince will be happy about that unless he's still pouting because I was a harsh critic of his earlier. We've got Love That Play and Quick Hit still to get to as well. So rolling right along here in this episode 179. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Yeah, can you believe it?
Indiana State was 1-79, baby.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Corey and Schultz.
I was just about to say that.
You never take it back. Fine, go ahead. I'll take another bite of my sando.
Hi, welcome back to the incredibly, creatively, and appropriately named Corey and Schultz program here on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. The disgusting eater to my left is Derek Schultz. Once Derek is done with his rude bite of a sandwich, which is fabulous, it's hard to stay away from the hoagies and hops, I realize. But one of the two of us prefers to do most of that when it's not their turn to talk, and it wasn't Derek's turn to talk, though, so I guess he's in the right to have his sandwich. But we still have a lot to get to, including the Pacers, who my buddy Michael from Australia texted me last night and said, you know what, I picked the wrong Western road trip to visit because he went on the Western road trip last time the Pacers were out west. It was a disaster. Ooh. This time, playing pretty well, including against the Los Angeles Clippers. Derek, to me, a big part of the Pacers right now is and we knew this was going to be the case. We knew he was a good player, but Pascal Siakam is the real deal.
Yeah, and you've needed that because Halliburton has struggled. So you've needed somebody else to kind of be your one, and that's, for the most part, what he's been. I was worried, Jake, after, to lose a game 150 to 145 and to rally as many times as the Pacers did against the Lakers and still fall short, I was worried they were going to be drained. But that's a great win, not only because you're on the road against the Clippers, but it's a Sega Baba. And the Pacers have not played well in Sega Babas this year. I think they were 2-9 in Sega Baba games going into it. So now that's their third Sega Baba win, and it comes at a really good time. Because I don't know, I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know if they have any other Sega Babas coming up. Let's see. No Sega Baba there. They are done with Sega Baba. So this is the last Sega Baba that they've had of the season. So really important to secure. Look, I know you want to win more than 33% of your Sega Babas, but a good win to secure. Clippers are a good team. You're on the road, so good, Sega Baba, good for the Pacers as far as that's concerned. 41-32 after that Sega Baba win.
Are you done?
They won't fall farther than 8th, but they're trying to hang on to 6th. They're 1 game up on Miami, 1.5 up on the Sixers as of Tuesday night.
By the way, for those that are curious about this ridiculous acronym that Derek has created to try to be cool,
I did not create it. I did not create Sega Baba.
Second game of a back-to-back is what that stands for. It doesn't even stand for that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the first 2 letters of all of those words. Sega Baba.
No.
Yes.
Where's where's
S-E, second, okay. G-A, game, B-A, back to, B-A, back.
Where are the oven two?
It's a hyphen to, back to back.
So why did you why would you throw out
Sega Baba?
Okay. It should be, if anything, it'd be Say of Tababa, right?
No, that sounds ridiculous. Sega Baba.
Or no, Say of Badaba. Say Badaba.
No, it doesn't make sense. You're old, bro. Like, you need to...
Sega of Badaba.
You need to get...
Sega of Badaba.
I don't even know if this is possible. You need to just get a little bit cooler.
I don't know, Derek.
You need to get cooler.
Let me just say this, okay? Am I older than you? Yes.
Clearly.
Okay. I've done okay.
Yeah, in the 90s. I agree. You did great. Yeah. And into the early to mid-2000s, you did pretty good.
I posted a few photos on Facebook, and people are like, you've done okay.
I saved your career,
right?
2010s, early 2010s, and then you've kind of had this nice second chapter here going off into the sunset. But you have still, what I don't have, a huge platform, which is your afternoon radio show, and I'm just worried that you're old and lame.
Hang on.
And that's a big problem. I don't think the Pacers are going to catch that Cavs-Knicks Magic group. They're within shouting distance of them. I think, and Jake, you tell me if you disagree with this, I think you'd be thrilled if the Pacers could get to the 6th seed. I think you'd be real happy with that.
Can you see my phone if I hold it up here? That probably doesn't resonate,
so,
let's see.
What are we doing?
Yeah, see, I've done okay.
Is this 9th grade now?
I've done okay.
You're showing pictures of your girlfriend to everybody?
Well, I'm just saying. You want to say that I'm lame, and I'm saying I've done okay.
Okay. I wasn't showing pictures of my girlfriend. She went to a different school.
You notice Vince
but I wasn't showing
is
pictures
even zooming in.
Yeah.
She went to a different school. What?
Yeah. The girlfriend that I had in high school.
You were that guy?
What do you mean that guy? That I had a girlfriend? Yeah.
At camp? That you met her at camp? She was Canadian, right?
I met her on a church trip. Yeah. But she went to a different school.
Where? You lived in Trumbull, Connecticut.
Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay.
She went to a different school.
Yeah, likely. How long did you date?
6 months.
How'd it fizzle out? What happened?
I went to IU, and she was still in high school.
Excuse me?
So there was a 2-year gap.
And then, so did you, when you got to IU, did you call her and break up, or how did it happen? Or you found out she had a new boyfriend?
I met somebody the first night that my IU experience was very much it was almost like Van Wilder movie. I got to IU the first night, move-in night.
You moved in?
I met somebody, yeah. I moved in that night.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened with that relationship?
That one went until very early, after Christmas break. We came back for IU, and I thought we were still burning hot, and no, she said, no thanks. I'm out of here.
Really?
I'm gone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was it.
And then you didn't call up Miss Princeton?
No, I didn't eat or sleep for about 3 months. I lost about 15 pounds.
So when you started smoking?
No, I wasn't starting, but it ramped up. And then
Okay.
and then I met Megan later on, another girl from Jersey at IU, and then dated her for a year and a half.
What
and
happened
then,
to her?
We just it wasn't working. It was great early on, but then near the end we were just kind of like let's we knew we weren't going to stay together after college, so we just decided to. When people say it's a mutual thing, it never is, but this one was.
So you get along with her?
I haven't really talked to her since then.
Because she blocked you?
No. She lives in Philly, actually. She's on Instagram and all that, and we follow each other.
So you stalk her?
I don't stalk her. We follow each other on Instagram. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
Some people have like this weird thing about their relationship. My Ashley and I have never really been like that.
Right.
Like the jealousy or whatever thing. I mean, it's weird for me because I'm not a normal person. I'm a public figure, and famous is not really it.
Correct. That's not it. That is right.
Notable. I'm a notable person, more so than like I don't know Vince. And so when you have that, people are attracted to that. Like it's moth to flame sort of thing. And here's the flame, and the moths are all flying around. And it's fine to just kind of let the moths fly around. I'm not gonna make out with the moths or anything. You know what I mean? Like they're just flying around. And that's what my life has been like for the past, I don't know, 20 years, 15 years.
Do you know about the moth that goes to the doctor?
I know this joke, but tell me it because I'm not remembering.
Moth goes to the doctor and sits down and
Yeah.
lays down on the couch, and the doctor says, "So what is it that's going on?" And so he starts going on and on and on and on and on, and finally the doctor says, this goes on for like 20 minutes. And the doctor says, I don't understand. So you don't claim any sort of depression or mental health issue at all? And the moth says, no, not at all. Life's really good for me, actually. And the doctor says, well, I'm a psychiatrist, so what led you in here today? And
Because the light's on?
Oh, yeah, the light was on.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah. See, I did know that joke.
Thanks for ruining it, though.
Back to the Pacers. Chicago Wednesday, Lakers Friday, Nets Monday, only 9 games left. And I really do... I was not confident going into this Western... I think what this Western road swing has done is it's made me confident that they're going to finish 6th.
Yeah,
I really do think that they're going to get there.
They've secured, obviously, for those that don't know, the Pacers have secured, at the very least, they have already secured the play-in, so they're going to be in the postseason, but now it looks like they're going to get
And they
serious.
pretty much can't fall past 8th. I know mathematically they can. It's not going to happen. They've got enough of a gap between them and Chicago for that to happen. Time for our Love That Play.
Okay.
Brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. Weird time of year. AC's on sometimes, heat's on sometimes. If you need to get either service, call Chris, John, and the rest of their crew. They've been around since 1920, so they're obviously doing something right. I don't know if they're showing pictures of their wives/girlfriends on TV and things like that, but both of them have done very well.
Correct.
As well.
For a long time.
And you had a big crush on the female Love, right? The sister.
Their oldest sister was beautiful.
Yeah.
Both of them are pretty good.
What was her name?
Ellen.
And Ellen's not involved in...
Correct. Ellen
Okay.
lives out east. Emily lives here in town and is in and out of the office, but both of them very, very
so there are 4 Loves.
Correct.
Emily, Ellen, Chris, and John.
Ellen, Emily, Chris, John.
Chris and twins are in the middle?
No, they're the youngest.
Youngest. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's correct.
So was it one of those, hey, let's have one more, and then bang?
I don't know, Derek.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I thought you knew everything. Well, I've known it for my whole life.
I didn't know the Love's
I
parents
thought you knew
back
everything.
then. They were born. Chris and
when
John
they
Love,
lost
though,
to Cleveland State, I broke their TV or whatever.
That's correct,
Yeah.
Chris and John Love, by the way, were born the day that Gordon Johncock won the Indy 500 in 73.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is their birthday race weekend or right around there?
Oh,
usually?
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty
No,
cool.
Derek, they ran the race that year in November. Of course. That's of the dumb things that you've asked. That's
All
the
right.
dumbest.
Yeah, okay. Can you just
They
just
were
not
born-
be...
They were born on the day the 500 was run. So is their birthday race weekend every year? No, they move it around.
Can you just not...
This year it's in February.
just not be the way that you are? Like, maybe that's...
Last year for the 50th, we had a wonderful day in August over at their house.
I know you're, 55, so old dogs do tricks, but, like, I very much wish you weren't the things that you choose to be. I just.
I'll never forget my buddy Carl. His birthday's on Valentine's Day, so is it in February every year? Well, yeah.
Sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm happy to have this platform and all that, but sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm like, why am I still doing this? Like, why? I could have left a long time ago.
I'm not the one who asked. Made the dumbest point.
Like, I don't have to be here.
History of mankind.
I choose to be here. My 401k and all of that health benefits come from a different job. Like, I don't need to be here.
Okay.
Our Love That Play brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling. Anderson Garcia giving us a March Madness buzzer beater. Are you good? You ready? We've still got 10 minutes left in the show.
I'll never forget when Billy had his birthday on Thanksgiving. Oh, really? Is it in the late fall every year?
Garcia's 3 from a rolled-in inbounds pass.
1 year
time
they
expired.
decided to have it in April.
Capped a furious Texas A&M rally. Came back from down double digits in the final 90 seconds to force OT, but the Aggies ultimately.
That shot was unbelievable.
Another reason, and this is reason number 9 billion. Why I'm still kind of like I'm not a momentum truther, but I'm kind of like a momentum is that. Wouldn't you say that A&M had all the momentum in the world going into overtime, and they still lose, right?
Yeah.
So what happened? Well, they changed the momentum.
The same thing happened with Creighton and Oregon, right?
Yeah,
Creighton gets into double overtime and goes on a 9-0 run.
I get it, and Reggie Wayne, and there have been other players that are far more accomplished than me that fully believe it. But just because you believe in something doesn't mean that it's true.
Derek, to be fair, also with the Texas A&M game, I was in my car and was driving. I don't remember where I was driving. I think home because it was later in the evening. When he hit that shot for Texas A&M, I was listening to the radio, the Westwood One radio call. And for as much as I have at times been critical of his coaching, Tom Crean is outstanding on the radio. He's the color analyst.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he did a great job. Yeah.
He's excellent on radio and on television.
I thought he did great. You know that Westwood One coverage was on a different station. Did you notice that?
I do know that.
They have anything left over there?
That's pretty
It
much
was
it.
it was like one of the only things that they still had going for them. 353-2141, love-hvac.com for a Love That Play. Let's quickly get through our quick hits. You had mentioned it. Congratulations, Paul Corsaro.
Yep.
Indy guy, Ron Colley guy, UIndy guy, new head man at IUPUI, soon to be IU Indianapolis by the time he takes over. Making the jump from D1, so we saw it work for Josh Schertz. Like I said, winners win, and Corsaro's won. He's Ron Colley's all-time leading scorer. He has taken UIndy to the last 2 Division II tournaments, and wish him luck. I mean, he's got, and I think even Luke Bosso's a great guy, great athletic director who we met over there, and I actually saw him at St. Elmo Beefsteak as well. He didn't let me know that they were hiring Corsaro. He didn't tell me that, but I got to see him over there.
Was that the thing where Scottie Pippen was?
Yeah.
What was that event? Like, everybody was posting photos
So
of it.
Beefsteak is like this luncheon where it's all you can eat steak and open bar, and it's all dudes, and then they have one that's all women the next day. And it's like an old late 19th century thing where in New York they used to like wear bibs and eat steak off of like bread rounds, and St. Elmo keeps that alive. And we watched the NCAA tournament games, and Scottie Pippen was hawking a bourbon in Indy like the night before, I think. And they were like, hey, why don't you come out to Beefsteak? So we did. And we were in the wine room. My old boss at Purdue,
How long have they been doing this? Because like I'd never heard of it, and then all of a sudden everyone was posting
I had
photos
never
from
heard of it until I started getting invited to it, and that was last year. Ethan secured the wine room, so it was 15 of us in the private room, and Scottie Pippen walked through the wine room. And we're like, there's Scottie Pippen. We had no idea he was coming. There's Scottie Pippen. And I can't even tell you, I hated Scottie Pippen with the fire of 1,000 suns. Like, if you would ask me my least favorite athletes of all time, any sport, Scottie Pippen is probably second to just Jordan. He's ahead of Reggie.
He's also very overrated.
Yeah, see, I completely disagree. But we've talked about this. The year that Jordan was gone, they won 2 fewer games and very easily could have gone and won the NBA Finals.
And he took himself out of a game because the play wasn't designed
He
for
did,
him.
but he finished 3rd in the MVP voting, and he was one of the 3 or 4 best players in the NBA that year when Jordan wasn't there.
Okay.
If not for a bad Hugh Hollins call, and this is coming from a Knicks fan, they beat the Knicks, and they would have been favored to beat the Pacers in the next round. Because that Pacers team, as you know, kind of made not a Cinderella run, but they were, like the 4 seed or 5 seed or something like that. I'm just saying, there's an alternate history where the 94 Bulls go to the NBA Finals, and then I think we have a different feeling about Jordan. Look, Jordan is the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. But we talk about him like he's just like this deity that can't be reached. Horace Grant was really good. B.J. Armstrong was an all-star. Scottie Pippen was one of the 9 or 10 best players in the NBA. That was a good squad that he had around him. DJ Davis hits the portal for Butler. I was a little bit bummed about that. He was a fun player to watch. He said he's acquiring for the NBA, but he's 6'1". I mean, I can't imagine that he's an NBA player. 3 open scholarships right now for Butler for next season, so Thad Matta's got some work to do there. And then congratulations to the U.S. men's national team. I don't need to tell you, Jake. Dos Acero beat Mexico. They are the CONCACAF Nations League champions for the 3rd straight time. U.S. unbeaten in their last 7 matches against their rivals from the South. Their last loss to Mexico was in a 2019 friendly. So congrats. USA. I believe that we will win.
Which tournament is this?
CONCACAF. The Nations League. They also have the Gold Cup.
And then if you win that, you go to the Sega Baba.
No, you're thinking the NBA.
Okay.
CONCACAF is like Confederation of Nations, or North American Football Association.
Federation's got to be in there somewhere.
Club. I don't even know what it is. CONCACAF. It's something football. We come back.
Collection of North American Football Federation.
And we wrap up. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hi there. Hi there, and welcome back to Query and Schultz.
13 years, man, we've been doing this, and you can't not step on me. We've been doing this for 13 years. We'll do it live. All right, we'll do it live. 3, 2, 1.
Are we going to play Billy Idol here?
I said 3, 2, 1. That means shut up because I'm starting. 3,
But
2, 1.
there's nowhere that says that you have to take it out there.
All right, you take it.
Okay,
3,
thanks.
2, 1.
Hi, welcome back. My name is Jake Query, and that's Derek Schultz.
Hi.
This is the incredibly cohesive Query and Schultz program that runs like
Great.
a smooth, well-oiled machine, not unlike Purdue basketball. We have other things to get to today. We've already talked about the Pacers. We've talked about the NCAA tournament. We've talked about the Colts, and we've talked about the fact that Derek's birthday, oddly, falls in the same time of year every year. As you were?
Chateau Kitchens is at my house right now. They are finishing the final touches on phase 2, the final phase of my basement. So they're doing a great job with that. We'll have some photos, probably not next week, but
Took
in
out
2
the
weeks.
toilet, right?
Toilet's been gone for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, random toilet in the middle of the floor has been gone for a while, but the basement is pretty much
It
done.
does
This
look
is the last
amazing.
week of it, and it's going to be incredible, and I'll take some photos, and people have been asking for the towel. So
Nope.
people have been asking for the towel.
Negatory.
Like I said, all the moss flying around the light bulb. Light bulb's right here. ChateauKitchens.com. There it is. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures. And I've been actually going to the JCC a little bit
Can
more
I
here,
counter that,
I think
please?
you're going to see some more JCC. Going to see some
that.
more arm definition.
I don't think so.
Some more arm definition in there
Yeah, we'll do it
when we
this
have
way.
another photo. Our friends at Chateau, led by Stephen Moore, are raising money for Mallory, his late fiance, who tragically passed from leukemia a couple of months ago. And we have that QR code, and we're going to put it on the screen. There it is right there on our screen if you want to donate to Mal's Pals. And as we mentioned, Jake and I are donating to that. That fundraiser continues for the next couple of weeks, and we'll keep hitting that hard. If they get to the 50K mark, then they name a research grant after Mallory, which is actually really, really cool for them to do something like that. And Chateau Kitchens does great work as well. So another reason to support great people and great friends of ours and great workers as well. Bider Bowl Bleep. Here's what we do. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth. Whether we Bider, it's Bowl Bleep. Okay. Statement 1, if the NCAA tournament expands, the teams beyond 64 should have to play their way in. I saw this idea thrown out. So don't affect the actual bracket, but if you're going to do like 76 teams, have the extra 12 teams play each other, first 4 type, play their way in. Because
if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it, yes.
It's sacred, right? The bracket is sacred. I don't want it to go like this.
I would agree.
I want it to stay where it is. So, gun to my head, sure, but they shouldn't expand it at all.
I totally agree with that.
Nobody wants this. No, the fans don't want this. Media
You're right.
coaches don't. I mean, people don't. I don't know. Maybe the coaches do. But fans and media, and I think even sponsors, I don't think would want this. Statement 2: the ACC was a better conference than we gave it credit for. Bite or bull bleep?
No, actually, yeah, I will buy that because the Clemsons and NC States are showing that there was maybe some depth there, and we didn't think there was. And Carolina and Duke have played well.
Yeah, but we knew Carolina and Duke were good, and they roll out of bed and made the Sweet 16. I mean, sure, it's not a. People are talking about it like it was a bad league. Maybe it's not a bad league.
Give credit to Hubert Davis though, because they had to go into the portal to get some up that roster, and they did, and they're good.
And John Shire, I mean, it's not an easy. People think it's easy to just take over a program like Duke.
Right.
It's not easy to kind of keep that going. So yeah, fine, I'll buy it. I guess it's a little bit better than we gave it credit for. The $1 million challenge in IndyCar should be a points race. Buy it or bull bleep?
I would tend to buy that. Yeah, I think it does add extra motivation and incentive. And if something happens where you have damage to your car, at least if you were able to salvage some points out of it, there's something to be gained.
Were any of the and I know you weren't there, you were doing it remotely, right? But what was the driver? It seemed like a lot of the driver response that I heard was negative, but those were a lot of the guys that didn't win or were caught up in incidents.
I think they love the facility,
yeah,
and I think they liked the opportunity to run there. But yes, I think they felt like it was a little bit contrived without anything other than monetary gain to be had from it.
Gotcha. I'm fine with ideas. IndyCar needs more ideas. It's just sometimes it takes a while to execute those ideas, right? That's what I'll say in defense of IndyCar. I think sometimes IndyCar fans want to criticize everything that isn't, what they're used to. And I will say, even though there was a lot to criticize from this past weekend, I don't fault them for trying. They're trying to do something cool, and I think that's a good thing. I have no idea how much time that we have left. Vince has kind of gone radio silent since I was a little bit harsh on him. Okay, we've got 2 minutes.
No, he's giving you the peace sign, like peace out.
How's your day? How's your week been? We haven't really talked we talk a lot, but I haven't. How's everything going? You enjoying the show still?
It's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's fine.
I didn't mean this show. I meant your radio. You good with the show?
Yeah, I mean the guys I work with are on time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was on time. I mean, we're going to get
Their
you back
birthday's
there
the same weekend every year. It's weird.
Same time. Okay. Can we just sit here in silence for 90 seconds? That's really what I would prefer. I would rather just.
You seem edgy. Is everything going okay at home? What about for you? Everything going okay?
Everything's great.
Are you getting enough sleep?
Pretty much, except for 1 hour a week. My life is good. There's just 1 hour on Tuesdays that my life isn't that great.
You have problems with the Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy back-to-back? A little too intellectually challenging?
I can't even remember the last time that I watched, I can't remember the last time I watched TV, live TV, as it's going, that wasn't.
That's fair. That wasn't sports? Yeah.
Wasn't live sports.
That's a good point.
Let's give a long thank you to all of our sponsors. Sometimes I feel like we're rushed. Let's start with Chateau Kitchens because they're right behind us. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Twitter. Our friends, Big Growler from Chili Water Brewing and the Chili Water Brewing Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard, and our friends at Hoagies and Hops, the best Sando shop in Indy, not just Midtown. Bailey and Wood Financial Group, the presenting sponsor of Query and Schultz. Great partners of ours. We really appreciate them. Love Heating and Cooling's been with us pretty much since
Love's
day one.
been very loyal, and they are – Derek, I tell the story a lot. Love Heating and Cooling, Shannon had a problem with her furnace, called out Love. They came out, part of their 24-hour on-call maintenance, and said, you know what, this doesn't need an overhaul. It's a very simple part. They were honest. They got it taken care of quickly. Didn't cost a lot. I love that kind of integrity.
And our friend at Nice Bison. Bison15 for the code for 15% off. Bison15 at nicebison.com.
Awesome
For
shirts.
Vince, I'm sorry. For JD, for Jake, I'm Derek. We'll see you next time. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Bye.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Rested yet? He got on his private jet.